I'm back with another one. This might sound a little bit rehashed because I had to redo the introduction monologue because I was keeping it so real that I said something that's a little bit too candid for putting online because we all have to take have etiquette, you know, and so it's good to be as honest as you can, but you have to be you also have to be mindful of what you present of yourself online. But all I meant to say is that so I was saying in that video while I was talking to myself a couple minutes ago, is that at one time this is going to be a little bit heavier video of some of the things that I'm planning to level, but but I've once actually been equated to the person Gollum in the movie Lord of the Rings, by my mother no less. And your mother, no one quite knows you like a mother. There's a saying in India from the books that I read of Arthur Avalon, is that a mother tends to know her son very well, and if you're an only child, even more so. But a mother tends to know her child very well. And I'm not an only child, but my mother knows me well. Like, if she, like, to this day, like, I'm grown now. I'm just a skateboard ride across the street from some very heavy numbers that don't look good on a birthday cake. And well, actually they do look good because we're blessed for each year I get. So I rescind that comment, because we are blessed for each day we get to see, and actually appreciating our vintage and our age is a sign of maturity in itself. When I first reached up over the first hurdle that starts with a 3, I was talking to a brother there, or to a friend there at a job where I had worked with him briefly for one summer, and then I saw him like 5 years later when I was coming up around that 3 corner. And he was saying that, you know, because he had about 6 years on me at that time, and his maturity showed that. But he was like, you know, he was saying that it's actually a blessing and a point of it's something it's an accomplishment to get on to different years and be healthy. But he was saying he doesn't yet also feel like at other times, but he was appreciating as to be happy with attaining these other ages. But all I meant to say, I was getting off into, but my mother too, as I'm getting a little bit older, my mother can yet come with some dope, like, if she were to give me something for Christmas, or like it's just anything thoughtful, it's like dead on, like what I need or what I would think is cool, because she can just like she can perceive that much about me, even like what I might not be aware of myself. But she has no less equated me to the figure Gollum on Lord of the Rings. And he was known for like getting in and out, and he got past a lot of trouble. He got into a lot of trouble, and he got past a lot of trouble in certain ways that it doesn't seem like he should have been able to get through that or into that. And he had to kind of fend for himself, and he had to actually live with himself and survive with himself. And I think that I can safely say that a lot of my life has been like that. I've been very forthright with people as an adult, in terms of etiquette and dealing with people. I haven't got anyone into trouble on purpose, and I've respected people enough to respect boundaries and not get off over the fence with someone about something that we're gonna both get in trouble about and end up telling on each other about. So that's a lot of how I operate. But I've also been very loving towards a lot of people, men and women, and most people would return most of my invitations. A lot of that has to do with the way I speak, because a lot of your life can really be predicated on the way that you speak. So when I was a young boy, sometimes I look at videos of when cameras were first coming out, recording cameras, and I had a very unique way of speaking. Some of that is from experiences that I had very young. And there's a word in the author Nicholas Taleb said that there was a word called Papa Baba or Tata Baba. It has like a punchable face, and I think it's what is that, the Levant. I'm not sure what country that is, but Lebanon or the Levant, they have something called a Tata Baba, and it's called a punchable face. And I've had a punchable voice a lot of my time, a punchable face and a punchable voice. A lot of people would be they're quick to go there with me, and it's always been like that as I speak. But then when I got up into like middle school, I had already moved around a lot. I've been in the north for first 5 years, and then I was in the Southwest for elementary, and then I was in in the back in the North for middle school, and then in the South for high school, and back in the North. And in all those settings, I was always somewhat of a foreigner, because maybe not where I was born at as much, but when I moved to the Southwest, a lot of my friends were either Hispanic or Native American. So I would somewhat a little bit like float my words. Like there's a certain way that if you've ever been to like New Mexico, the way that people speak in New Mexico is very unique. Both people who are Hispanic, but then also people who are not Hispanic. There's a certain way that they all kind of speak, and where a person, but it does a little bit lean more. I would say it maybe skews a little bit more Hispanic on the surface, to my ear. And then living there, you may start to kind of float your words, or even overfloat them a little. Like I live in the North now, where we also kind of pronounce vowels unique, but in the Southwest, there's a very beautiful way that people speak. But sometimes people who are not actually Spanish speaking can start to sound Spanish, as though they had a Spanish accent. They had an English, a Spanish accent when speaking English, living and being fluent English speakers in this area like the Southwest. And sometimes it can sound like a little bit not that real, like to if you can see where I'm coming from. So I think I did favor skew a little bit that way as a boy, also having a punchable voice in the first place. And then I moved to the northern United States, and I was in a more so African American community, where I had already had friends. My best friends in life have always been African American, even in the Southwest, where it's not as much of an African American in terms of a proportion. But yet when I came, but I didn't really. I experienced a lot of the beautiful things of African American culture. But I still like my music tastes were what you would call African American, or just African American, whatever. But then my taste, the way that I appreciate sports and different arts is reminiscent of themes in African American culture. But then I wasn't really in an African American setting. But then when I came back to the North, I was more so again, because I was in the Midwest in a not a predominantly African American city, but a largely African American city. And then so I went through the school system like that, and I had more and more experiences with my best friend when I first got back to the North was also African American, from the deep South, like Florida. And he taught me so much. He was a little bit younger than me, and I would school him in basketball, but just about life, he was way more seasoned than me, because he was really from a culture. And his sister, his older sister, we lost her early, but she inspired me into a strong church home that had a lot of influences from the African American, the African America, and different people from the Midwest and so forth. So I was really blessed in a lot of those ways. And then I went to Tennessee after that, and then I was also in that was a largely predominantly black city, one of the great chocolate cities. I was in Memphis. And then I came back to the North, and I had friends from Africa who also had a similar experience of being like first generation African Americans, and they also had a unique ways of speaking English, being African American or all these different things informed the way I spoke. But then on top of that, I can speak a little bit somewhat rapidly, it would sound to other people, because I view presence, existing in presence, differently than a lot of people. And so where a lot of people, they have like a sense of linear time. So like I'll be like, just tonight I was making a turn, and there was a car turning left, and they just got the arrow, so I technically was, maybe I could have yielded to them, but I was there before them, and I could have got ahead of them. But just as me rounding that corner, I can see them coming on and accelerating, as it would appear that I'm about to make a right turn. So they didn't even begin to slow down. So they're seeing this happen, but they're actually not present enough to respond to what's actually existing. And I think it's because of that, being trained by a clock in that linear sense like that. Where I'll say that the way I came to appreciate this is because I was once training to become a space cadet. If you can appreciate what I'm saying, and it appeared for me and my comrade as though we were really existing in real time, and I saw my comrade operate the training vehicle for going into outer space, as though in the present moment, and that gave me insight into how we really exist. And but to this moment, to this as this moment, maybe that's the same moment. This is the same moment. I can see people have they're actually they're not. It's straight. The orator Osho says that a lot of people may not actually be in fact awake as they think, and we actually are in fact not as awake as we think. We are yet dreaming both when we're asleep and when we're awake. We can manage a little bit more of it consciously, more and less consciously when waking and sleeping, but we are yet dreaming in fact. And this life can be equated to a dream. I had beautiful experiences. One of my friend's mother, who we lost very early at a hospital no less called Loveless, which is part of where I draw my name for this. And she was one of the only people to believe in me, especially like as a basketball player, because she saw me steal a ball away from this guy that was yet cooler than Michael Jordan, and I was a few years younger. But we lost her, and she's no longer with us. So my experiences with her, it may as well as soon be in a dream, because she's no longer here. But actually today I had a very clear insight where I felt as though I could actually taste a communication from her. It was something like there's like this kind of like burnt wood smell that I used to see at it's it's not sage, but it's similar to sage, that you would get like somewhere in the Southwest, like when I was growing up, like around like ceremonies. Like I had been onto a reservation a couple of times, like a powwow. But then also there are different venues that imitate that in the Southwest, where it's like it's like a sensation where all your senses are engaged, but the most prominent of which would be like taste and smell together. And I had a kind of like a sensation of her, and I also had a kind of epiphany today, no less, which is that if you were to I'm still going to try and tie this together, but if the video doesn't cut out first, but if you were to appreciate that, so okay, so what do you like? The other day I had the author Arthur Avalon said that what we understand of as electricity is a function of what's called logos, which is enunciated thought, expressed thought. And that statement right there, that would sound like unpacking a can of worms, and it'd be very difficult to speak to that intelligently without sounding convoluted and conceited. But to his point, I think there can be something said about when he says that the spoken word is what we know of as electricity is a function of the spoken word. I've sometimes had when I talk about being like Gollum and whatnot, I've had different uncanny insights into like suggestions of spontaneity to do things or not do things off the keenest inspiration or lack of inspiration that can be equated to like what you might call like a Holy Spirit or something. But it's similar. It reminds me. It's reminiscent of electricity as I experience it at times. And I think that the correlating that to the word, to speaking life with our word, having congruence in our voice, has all of our experience in life and as existence throughout time, throughout all of our existence, ancestors, present, future, it was within our voice. So to equate our voice with the most kinetic thing, the most subtle thing being like inspiration, if not kinetic activity in the finest sense, would maybe be electricity. But going beyond that, if you I had this bad jacket, and it has like scary monster movie characters on it, and a man once said that I think that's of the devil what you have on, can I give you a hug? And so I was man enough to let him give me a hug. And then like I hadn't touched that jacket in quite a while, and then I was picking it up last night, and it had static on it. Like as I picked it up, it was like it was static. So he might not have been he might not have been wrong. But what is reality? So, but then also I was doing a delivery today, and I went into a pizza venue, actually where my first job had been way back. We're talking like '99, right before the world was supposed to end. And that smell in there of the it's like they have like sandwiches and pizza. That smell is almost realer than real. Like some would say the smell is the realest sense, that smell is realer than real. And it's like, if this life is a dream, like if the people we love, like my grandma, my friend's mom, who are no longer with us but are yet are with us, is like a dream, because we, whatever that experience we had together, it's somewhere else now. Or maybe it was never here. It's a dream. But then how can something like this smell that we're going in somewhere actually be so real? But I want to say is that maybe that smell, that sensation, whether it be taste, they say that actually all of our senses are actually the same sense. They're different grades of the same sense, which is just vibration. Taste, sight, smell, hearing, touch. If I'm leaving one out, it's all actually vibration. It's a different grade of vibration. But we could say that vibration itself might just be simple polarity, in itself, polarity. So as I'm touching that jacket like that, it gets that static like that, you could say that that's just simply a polarity. So maybe I'm the polar opposite of I'm the polar badass where I am, and so I'm making static with that coat, to be tongue in cheek. But yet that static might be the only thing there might only be two things: word, what we intend, and then polarity, which word would be the finest, the finest grade of polarity is our will. Our will is at the center and the cause of polarity, I think. So if you can appreciate that, I think, if you can appreciate that what we are to exist is polarity, and then yet finer polarity being will or word, an enunciation, intention within polarity as existence there. Now, our love, our humor, all that can be different grades of our will, and that is what maybe what that means is what's real. So my friend's mother, who spoke life into me and confidence into me when I had egregious family members, egregious community, all the different horrible stuff that a child can experience socially, subtly, peripherally about me. And my friend's mother spoke life into me. Now she used her will being the finest grade of polarity within broader polarity, amounting to her muscle movement, her ability to communicate to me was yet from a function of the finest polarity par excellence, enunciated by means of and across yet further grades of polarity, to be appreciated by me, by my sensory apparatus that take in polarity, down to my finest polarity being my will, which is again yet polarity. But what was real about that? What still exists about that now? What existed about that then? Because polarity, it can be arbitrary, good, bad, left, right, all that can be arbitrary. It can be like a vibration, and it sways back and forth. So is it really good? Is it really bad? Is it really light? Is it really dark? All that can be, all that's not settled. But the meaning of it, what did she mean by that? What did she mean when she said that to me? What did that mean to me? What has become of that? That is yet realer than the polarity, or that anything that happened as a consequence of it, the meaning of it. So we could say that from that standpoint, we can yet say, yes, maybe the world is a function of the logos, what was meaning, what was meant, what came across from polarity, through polarity to polarity, yet connect electricity being a mode of that, the electricity being very polar in nature, and then yet coming back all the way to meaning in the first place, which somehow that meaning is a little bit beyond existence, because it's before existence, during existence, it's the cause and effect of existence, and the totality and meaning of existence is that intention, that meaning, meaning into polarity, as polarity, and beyond polarity. It's meaning and polarity, logos, thought and expression. So I'm getting a little bit off into the weeds with that, but I hope I can not make a proper ham of myself, which, as much as I'm not a pork eater, a ham is the best thing to be in life. It's the best way to get along with people. It's the best way to inspire people. It's the best way to anything, is to be a ham. Yeah. So for my video talking about pork, a pork may in fact be the most beautiful creature. I was working at the state fair once, and I saw some baby pigs being born. I had this cool, another badass manager who we were on this little golf cart after the fireworks. We'd come to work late at night, enjoy the fireworks, and then we'd have to sit around for a while, and a long while with sitting on our hands for a while, and then we'd get on these golf carts and we'd knock down all the bathrooms at the state fair. Boom, boom, boom. Men's room, men's room, women's room. It don't matter. We're going through it. Clean toilet, no toilet. We're cleaning that stuff. But when we got into like a farm area, those are some of the deepest experiences I had, cleaning the bathroom at the state fair. No less. Some of the most beautiful experiences I had were at the state fair. The different kind of people I met, and then somehow the smells of the state fair are realer than real. The farm, the animals, the bathroom, no less. How absurd do I sound saying that? The polarity of the state fair is the realest thing in life. But we saw some pigs being born, and it was the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. That those pigs, they were so genuine, they were so true, they were so gentle. They are the most beautiful thing when you see some pigs like that. So I don't want to denigrate pigs like when I was saying that other video, but there are some things about the lifestyle of pigs and their manner of living that may not be healthy, in that some of their food sources may communicate to us what is not suitable or is not advantageous for us. So yeah, respect to pigs for that other video. I made that video called Lion's Heart, speaking about some of my thoughts on pork. All creatures are beautiful, all people are beautiful, all experiences are beautiful. If we can come back to embracing that we had yet been one person. So he was so with the pigs, and then I did somewhat lose that train of thought, but I wanted to get back to but I guess I can segue with that, which is that, yeah, so in some ways I've reminded myself of Gollum at different times, and I've had to get across in a lot of environments, and I've had to abide with who I am. And a lot of that I've had where I was going is, I've had a lot of my challenges have been a function of the way that I communicate. I'm not saying anything egregious. I'm not being iconoclast. I'm not being derisive to anything, but yet the cadence and maybe the subject of what I speak, it can put people off, because it's like a brand that someone's not used to. But I'm yet coming to appreciate that actually might be my strong suit. Some of your the things that you are most unappreciated for may be your strong suit. So like, I go to different places and I say all kinds of crazy things that a ham would say. I speak like a half-educated, half-initiated ham when I go places, who is yet fancy, who humors themselves, and also fancies himself as a self-styled poet with literary tendencies towards humor and poetry is who I am. And that's about the kind of way that I engage with a lot of people. But I'm having actually stronger experiences doing that, where I'm coming to embrace like who I actually am and how I communicate and how I exist as being maybe a strong suit. So maybe these you had all these people, their families worked their finger to the bone to put away and give them an opportunity at life and to be anything that they wanted to be, and they took that opportunity to study oranges and all the different things about an orange, no less than the pathology of an orange. And then yet when maybe a apple came through that didn't maybe know that it had been a witty apple, the apple was raised in a city of soul, but by a brother, but not necessarily a soul brother. And then that apple came across an orange that can describe an orange, and yet would go so far as to describe that apple, maybe even a witty apple, as an orange. And then that apple got in trouble for having a rind for being a orange that would think itself to be an apple when maybe it had been an apple in the first place, and that no one appreciated that. But then he got his hands on an Apple device later, and then he came across an actual soul brother that said maybe there's a little bit maybe there's something of a worm inside that apple, and maybe we could work with that worm, and maybe you could be wormy, and maybe you can even talk slick like a worm, and maybe the worm was the kindest creature inside of a lot of stories that give a lot of people clout, and that a lot of people swear by when they go through life, and when they talk about other different kind of fruits, and then they're for all their grandeur, maybe it had been that worm inside of a bigger story that was the least heavy-handed, and it was yet the best thing. Maybe the best thing about a heavy book had actually been a worm inside that book. That maybe the most respectful member of a heavy book had actually been a worm. Yeah, all I meant to say is that so you can, the very things that are the greatest things about you are the very things people will use to write you off with, and write prescriptions for you that they would never follow for themselves, to their credit, because they shouldn't follow that shit. But it takes a while to appreciate who you actually are, and sometimes it takes a smooth person to run across. So I've shouted out some different smooth people on here, and if you were to go in my catalog, you might appreciate who gave me a little bit of insight into who I may be. But it has always been a lot of people of soul that have given me my clues about my environment. So there's some on YouTube that I engage with now. But it takes a while to appreciate who you are, and recognize what your strong suits are, and the very thing that people don't understand about you might be the greatest lesson to them. I wanted to, but where I was going for this is a little bit different subject of what I wanted to start with, is that I was talking a little bit about how we may have been cannibals in the past as humans, and people would be like, "Where? That's a stretch right there. Like, what are you talking about?" But I might have to say, you might not have to go back in time. Go back 5 minutes. Go pull up a song real quick, right? And it's like, yeah, fool, I'm getting my money. I'm all about that money. Ain't nothing funny. You can keep the honey, but just give me the money. Stuff like that. Where does money come from? Now that's a rap song, but these different whether it be a landlord, if that's not blasphemy, did you just call yourself a lord? And we're all rocking with you as lords. No disrespect to people who have lordliness about them. I'm not saying that, but just to make somebody that we're in a wilderness where we live at, that was once a jungle. Maybe some places had been like a jungle, and now it's a concrete jungle, but no less a wilderness. And you take all you can't piss, you can't sneeze without being on somebody other's piece of a jungle that now belongs to them, where one could say that the jungle shouldn't belong to anyone but a lion. But yet we have these lions about us whose jungle we're in, many lions calling themselves landlords, bill collectors, whatnot. A better term for that is actually usury, is what that is. But we owe them our fealty as our fitting lords, who are somehow not blasphemous, because they yet subscribe to a book that is righteous, that had a worm in it that was kind. So they may as well be those rap artists. Like, where's my money, fool? I'm all about my money. Yeah, I need my cheddar. I'm all about that macaroni. You better have my cheese. Stuff like that. That's what these landlords might as well be saying. That's what these advertisers might as well be saying. Now, how did we come by having what they want from us? They want our Skrilla, our Scratch, our Fetty, our cheese, our WAP, our I'm gonna say something I don't even know what I'm saying, but there's so many eloquent ways to say getting over on a motherfucker is what they're trying to do, and so that when you have that little whether it's that plastic card or that green paper. Now, green is the coolest color. I'm not gonna stand down from that, but you have that green paper, that card, this card now, or those digits now. That's your token to get over on people, to have your way, and that's what people want from you. And it's not wrong in itself. Representative currency might be a problem, but that's a different discussion. But all I meant to say is that and then again, to talk about polarity, there I was speaking about polarity. Now currency, it would figure that if life is meaning expressed across currency to achieve yet meaning, I'm sorry, if life is meaning across polarity to yet achieve meaning, to yet achieve polarity, to yet achieve meaning is existence, then currency is very vital within that. And it has, other scholars have pointed out that, like, when you say money, the word moon is in there, and that also gold and silver are they're alchemical, they're properties of alchemy, but no less induction and electricity, i.e. currency. So that overlaps in uncanny ways. And the YouTuber Taj Tariq Bey is an eminent scholar, and I hesitate to drop his name unless I had to, but he can speak. That's where I'm deriving those concepts of currency and money. And then when I was speaking about logos and electricity, that had been from Arthur Avalon, no less eminent. Those are two of your great scholars that are available. And but but this money is tied to our life force, because you can't obtain with money without either effort and or what we experience as time or existing effort and existing. Those go back and forth, and it costs both of those to achieve the ability to make your way, to make your means. But yet it can be, if we are polarity and currency within polarity. Maybe we could say will is like currency. Will is the current of polarity. In the manifestation and interaction of polarity is will, and that can also be equated with currency. Within that, the conduit and what engages and what currency amounts to, or what polarity, what engages polarity and what polarity amounts to can be currency. And that can also be our what we know as our life force, our word and our polarity, and our word again and our meaning being our life force. And this is what people are confiscating and depriving us of, and coercing out of us, and using out of us. And so in that way, we are yet still cannibals, all of us, because we're not getting that, we're not having our way without taking something from another person. Yes, we give some back, but we more so give to take, if we're being honest. So in that sense, that's no different than us being cannibals. Being cannibals might be a more crude version of that, and that might actually be a more tame and juvenile version of the real baseball now, where the real baseball can be as vital and vicious as anything, as though we were just simply eating each other in a jungle. We're still we're still yet eating each other in yet more sophisticated and more brutal ways, and more disingenuous ways, and more dishonest ways, if we're being honest. So that's a little bit, I wanted to follow up that comment about perhaps humans had been cannibals. And yet then again, what is the purpose of life in a human? Now you think about, like, I serve food, and I've served enough food to really be good at something. You have to have a little bit of distance from it to really engage with it and get the best out of it. You have to have a little bit of aloofness from what you're dealing with. And that's the same with food. So I've served so much food that I yet love food and I enjoy food. You know, I got someone rolling up, and I don't know. Um, so you have so what is our main occupation in this life? Is to eat. People have been eating all their life, but you deprive them at that next meal, and it's about to be held. Like, people can't get enough eating. If you think about it, people can't get enough other stuff, but people really can't get enough eating. And so what I think is that this universe is what we know of as the Lord, the real Lord, to take that title away from the people who take advantage of us. The real Lord has been called immortal by Arthur Avalon, because the Lord wastes not, is why the Lord can manage to be immortal. I shouldn't say manage. I shouldn't say that's why he can manage, because we don't know his purposes and designs. But one feature of the Lord being immortal is that we know that the Lord is immortal, and we know that the Lord wastes not. So we can say that the Lord is immortal and wastes not. And we are yet lesser degrees and extensions and thoughts. We are thoughts of the Lord, and we are the beauty of the Lord to a relative terms. But our main preoccupation. So what I want to say is that if you appreciate how much food people really consume, they're they're more so filtering each other in the environment. That's what we're doing. I used to have I used to have fish like when I was little, like an aquarium, and I would have these things called algae eaters. They're like a catfish is an algae eater. I think it's the same family as an algae eater, but they filter and they clean a fish tank. If you have a fish tank without algae eaters, it'll get nasty so quick because the fungus and the different bacteria will accumulate in there. But you put a algae eater in there, or like what a catfish would be. This is the most unsightly and humble of creatures. If it's there's nothing to, you really almost can't call it a fish. It's more of a creature. Yet that thing will do such beauty with that fish tank because it exists to filter it. And that was the most beautiful fish I had. I had these ones called they were called like beta fish. We give beta a hard time, but those beta fish were really beautiful. They had like orange and like a black tail. And then I had like obviously like guppies. And then I might have had some cool fish too. And it was really cool to see them have like their babies, because they'd have like infinite little baby fish. It was really cool. But the coolest one was the cool of cool was the algae eater. That he was smooth, man. He wasn't bothering nobody. He was just like kind of swaying like that, just doing his thing. The other ones were like, they're tripping. They're always like on edge, like they're like looking around, and they're never quite happy. But the algae eater, he's smooth and he's happy to be there, and he doesn't ask for much. He just wants his green stuff. The coolest people just want their green stuff. The most laid back people just want their green stuff, and it's the healthiest stuff. But yeah, so that algae eater is filtering. So I would say that we as human beings, our main, and as most beings, like this preoccupation with eating. I need to eat. My baby need to eat. We need to eat. All of us need to eat. We're filtering the environment, and that's how the broader environment can exist. But it's yet brutal because we're filtering each other's assets. Like whether we're filtering each other's money, we're filtering each other's livelihood, we're filtering each other's opportunities. We're yet always filtering, and that's the beauty, but that's also the function of what we're doing, and maybe how we and this existence manage to go on and keep living and be immortal. Because you gotta clean stuff or it's gonna get dirty really quick. So things get dirty. The only thing dirtier than dirty is cleaning, because that catfish, that algae eater, that's a dirty, that fool is dirty. He's dirty. But yet he's the cleanliness of clean. And I said in another video that Mr. Clean might be the top dog. So maybe I might have to do one better and say that Mr. Algae is the top dog, because he's getting to the root of things. But then also I want to talk just a little bit. This is somewhat related to that, but we actually overdo things, because like I'm running low on time, but we yet overdo things. Why? So if someone were to get violent, that would be heinous. Public violence is not sightly. But public displays of affection is yet more unsightly for most people. Yet we would say it's loving, and that's where life comes from. But why is that? I think that when people are making love, it's actually a humiliation ritual that we're doing. It's the woman is physically is humiliated by making physical contact with the male, and that not man or women, just the female principal is humiliated through physical contact with the male principal, and the male is greater humiliated by is socially and spiritually humiliated by associating with the female. You take me walking with no one by me, and I have a little bit more bearing as I'm walking than a loving couple. That man, he's connected to a woman, and he may be greater than me and actually have more power by being with a woman, but as an appearance, he's more so he's bound by his attachment to that partner. So that on a more sophisticated, broader scale, that's what happens when people become when a man becomes associated with a woman through having contact of any kind. He's now somewhat compromised to himself and to others to some degree. Whether he's successful or whether it doesn't work out, you're somewhat compromised by coming into association. And even if you start to gain feelings, what is gaining feelings? Maybe gaining feelings is associating. Serge had looked at me that way, had said this to me. Now I feel this way about them. I'm associating with them, and I'm now vulnerable and somewhat compromised from that as a male. But I think it may be similar as a female. But all I meant to say is that it's healthy and it's beautiful. In coming together, we yet humiliate ourselves. But you have to break something down in order to build something up. That's the beauty of sex and coming together, is that we are breaking each other down, humiliating each other down, and from there we're now on humble, honest footing to really commune and be together, and we can build up into anything, a new universe, a new anything from that standpoint. But yet we overdo it. So I think that the smoothest, the most sexy thing is just simple and real. If sex is simple real, that's the sexy stuff. When you start doing like all this crazy stuff and you're putting feet on top of people's heads and you're breaking people down, yeah, it can be fun, it can be cool, but you're somewhat overdoing it. And I think that's the same thing people do with food. It's healthy, but it has its purpose, but we overdo everything, is what I'm saying. And that's what the problem is. That's what the original sin, sin is not sin. Relishing in sin is sin. Overdoing sin is sin. So that had been the original problem, and I think it had to do with food.